Hi.
Have you presented Mansarovar?
No. I presented you.
Oh. Oh, there you are. A new invention. We adjusted the
Out of
principle.
necessity. Version 2.
Huh?
Srila Gurudeva ki
Jai.
Could you come a little bit closer? I feel very lonely here. Yeah, that feels much better. I was going to present to you Mansarovar. He's an Ayurvedic doctor and also a normal doctor who has opened a clinic in the jungles of Colombia. And he's one of the teachers of the University of Ancient Wisdom, which is opening on the coast of Colombia, the Caribbean coast. And we have many projects there together, but I didn't know he was going to come to Sweden with me, with his dear wife, life companion. They have had beautiful family. And so, but he don't speak so good English, right? You English? So. Anyway, I was very, very happy to present you. And right now we are doing with the Senu. There's many tribes. In Colombia we have approximately 150 tribes. Some of them are they've lived so isolated that they still maintain their old traditional ways of living, whereas other tribes have been like bumped around. The Senu tribe in particular has been given a reservation by the government only some years ago. And in that reservation they became very friendly with us. In the area of Sincelejo, it's a city in the north of Colombia. So they tribe people, they came to us and said they wanted us to be part of their reservation. So they gave us a very beautiful piece of land next to a waterfall, which is like an extremely beautiful waterfall called El Sereno. So they wanted to have us in the hearts of their community. And I think also we will take some of their elders to India for the Kumbh Mela for 2019. There will be an incredible meeting of the tribes with the Indian tribes, because in India there's also many original tribes still, the Adivasis. You could call them the original Hindus. And all the tribal people have very much of a Vedic philosophy. They are very, very, very close to each other. So the Adivasis, and now in Brazil, altogether in South America, we have over 1,200 tribes. Colombia, and so. Anyhow, so he's taking care of them, not only as a doctor, as a friend, as a guide. They're called the Senu. I went there and we had like a beautiful, it's something like, you could almost call it like a dream, something unimaginable. And it has been very much arranged by the Supreme Lord, because my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, he sent me to America in 1976. But I didn't know what I was supposed to do there. Of course, we know what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to tell the glory of Krishna and the holy name and the Bhagavad Gita. That I knew, but I didn't know to whom I was going to speak about that. Because, last not least, we're living in the cities, and the cities, they're the They are being manufactured by the colonialist people. They manufactured all these big cities there. The tribal people had very small settlements, very 100, 200, 300 people, and that's it, and then another area. So in this way, we didn't have much contact with them for many years. But then the Lord arranged it in such a way that just we started having friendship connections. As we went around Colombia, for example, one of the first places we obtained for an eco-yoga farm in Colombia, there was a territory which is called a Muisca territory. The Muiscas, they are the original people of that region. But there where we bought this land, there were no Muisca people at that time. But later it turned out, when the Muisca people started visiting us, that we had bought one of their main sanctuaries, which was there like in the heart of their ceremonial grounds. And that, of course, was a very special thing. Oh, Mahari, can you be so kind and sing one song with the accordion right next to you? I actually came here to listen to your accordion bhajan. Now I see that next to you. Just let us have a Jai Radha Madhava or something like that. Prabhupada's favorite song. He always started all his meditations with Jai Radha Madhava. Songbooks.
Yashoda
The kids are not without guard, you know? Always somebody has to be with the dance. Because you don't know what happens, who comes. Yeah, that's why I came for. Very nice, very nice. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So first of all and foremost, welcome to all of you. I'm feeling very fortunate to be here and visit Sweden and meeting all of you and reflecting about what we are supposed to do in this world, what is our mission, what we have come for, and sharing some joint responsibility we have as we have come in contact with Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, my beloved Guru Deva. By his inspiration, we are duty bound to come everywhere, to go everywhere again and again and try to attend to the needs and the joy of the local community. That is more easy said than done, because we are quite complicated fellows in this age of Kali, and to get a continuous enthusiasm, a jolt of enthusiasm, to go in a specific way of life, that is something very, very unlikely to happen. But somehow or other, our family in Nimai Huset has developed in that way. We have already, I don't know, Mahari, how many years are we in Nimai Huset now?
It's 10, 11 years.
11 and a half.
So that is how, to me it feels like much longer, really. But anyhow, that's what it is, like 11, 12 years. So, and we have been here in the service of Gothenburg and Sweden, and announcing and producing within our humble capacity comics, cookbooks, Vedic wisdoms, websites, Imlitala, eco-productions of vegetables, many years running Sattva, Spoon Revolution. I mean, we have had a few efforts of service, some intensive, some ongoing, some of them less attended these days. So altogether, this is a commitment to the Gothenburg community, and it is our deep, heartfelt desire to create a great impact upon the society from the point of Sanatan Dharma. You could say Sanatan Dharma is the living along the rules of the axiomatic truths, that which is truth beyond a shadow of a doubt. That is what we should take as the guiding principle of our life. So if we are talking about faith, but besides faith, there is something which is so clear and so obvious that it should impact upon us. Example, the condition of the meat industry in this world is so obviously disastrous that these sensitive Swedish people or anywhere in the world should by now come to the conclusion we cannot participate in this ugly, self-destructive industry, especially not when we have the best of the food, the form of vegetarian fruits, vegetables, grains available. And I mention that only as one example because the Spoon Revolution carried that message very strongly, and that was from the very beginning. But beside that, axiomatic truth is all that which is truly beneficial to humanity. And there are so many extensive branches of that axiomatic truth. Like one is permaculture, growing your own food, or at least making sure that your food which you eat is being grown without chemicals. Unless you like to go to the pharmacy and buy some chemicals and put doses into your food every day, which I don't think anybody of you would like to do. But because of not being profoundly aware of the dangers, we let the people put those chemicals on our plants, and then we eat it, and of course we get sick. We get so sick like a dog. It's like our condition of health nowadays is not very positive. And one of the biggest spreading diseases around the world are kind of depressions, all kinds of mental disorders. It is the fastest spreading disease around the world. And you'll be surprised, but it is chemical based. Because of this disproportionate intake of different chemicals, the people are getting increasingly wacko, to make it short. And that manifests in many ways, and it can be avoided by eating chemical-free food. Of course, should be offered to Krishna too, no? Shouldn't be just chemical-free. It should also have the spiritual connection, the spiritual dimension to it. So, axiomatic truth is what we have come here to share. We have not come here to share opinions or to impose our way on others or to make others look less smart or anything. No. We are here as brothers and sisters sharing. And this sharing process has created a certain community under the leadership of Maharaj and Sivananda and Vasudeva Brahman and all these people here. I've dedicated so many years, Manashiksha, and our community, no? Prem Sita. It has been our very happy experience to be here and sharing. But still, we are surprised how little recognition is given to Prabhupada and to his teachings in this world. We don't know. We are not here to impose. We are here to expose. Else, what else can we do? But we are so surprised how people cannot take notice of axiomatic truths. Of course, you're in a society where the people go in the shop and they buy a pack of cigarettes where it says on it, this will kill you. And then they still give me 2-pack. So it's a strange world. We are very much influenced by what you call it the advertisement industry. They're very expert in manipulating humanity in a very unfortunate way. So still it is our duty to continue our seva. Sanatan Dharma means eternal Dharma. It's an eternal duty. We are not only here to have a good time in Nimahuset, even though we have to admit to a certain degree we do have a good time. And when we go to Imlitala, we even have a better time. Especially when we go up to the Radhakunda, we have the best of the time. But what to do? This is the way this life goes, no? So our wish to have our consciousness purified by executing our duty of sharing with the people the greatest treasures of the world, we hope that makes an indent into the world of mistaken notions and mistaken behavior, to correct themselves and be benefited by doing so. Individually, that has happened. And that's why we stopped taking drugs, that's why we stopped eating meat, that's why we stopped drinking alcohol, that's why we stopped going to the disco, and that's why we stopped watching television. And that's why we try to live an ecological, holistic lifestyle with a lot of good example for humanity. Some of us are vegans, some of us are full-time servant of humanity, going out to simply spread the message of Prabhupada to the people. So very dedicated activities we are undertaking in general. Not everybody. Some people have to maintain families, so they also have to have kind of normal jobs sometimes. But basically, that's what we are here for serving humanity, because our Guru Deva has been a servant of humanity. After he took sannyas and he was sent to America by his spiritual master, he just did service to humanity until the day he died. And when I met him in 1972 in Paris, he also told me to do service to humanity. And that somehow or other brought me everywhere where I'm going, including Gothenburg and and other places. So service to humanity is a noble attempt. We try our best and offer that which is good for all. And so in this way we are also here in Gothenburg again, and very proud to join with all of you and see our older community, some newer communities, some friends, and encouraging everybody to be in the spirit. Now I did bring something new also. That is the United Nations of the Spirit. Besides the axiomatic truths taught in the Vedas, there's another axiomatic truth which comes from the natives of this world, as I previously explained, and they came together and they started the principle, or they announced the 9 principles of life, and said based on the 9 principles of life, they would proclaim the United Nations of the Spirit. The United Nations of the Spirit is the real United Nations. Very much necessary. Our Prabhupada, he had already said long time ago that the world needed the United Nations, the spiritual United Nations. He wrote it. When this was proclaimed, the United Nations of the Spirit, little did we know that that was previously proposed by Prabhupada. So this is not an institution. United Nations of the Spirit is not another organization where you can become a leading executive and maybe make a salary or something. No. United Nations of the Spirit is what it is. It's the Spirit itself. And you are the Spirit. If you don't recognize that you're a spirit, then I'm sorry for you, because then you think you're a body. I mean, you have a body, that's okay, but you're the spirit. And unless you start acting as a spirit, you will be simply body consciousness and body conscious, and then when you die you'll be body conscious, and most likely next lifetime you'll be body conscious again, because that's what the samsara is. It is a continual lineage of body consciousness. Sometimes you're an elephant, sometimes you're a native, sometimes you are a colonialist, sometimes you're a man, sometimes you're a woman, sometimes you're rich, sometimes you're poor, but it's all body consciousness. But you're the spirit. So, can we act as spirit? United Nations of the Spirit, actually, one of the leaders, one of the mamus, they call them in South America, he told me, the problem is this world today wants to solve its problems without spirituality. They say we'll find secular solutions because we are so scientific, we are so bright, we'll definitely find some solution. But they said, impossible, impossible, impossible. The only way the world can find solution to XYZ problems is through a profound spirituality. And that profound spirituality must be the natural spirituality. Unfortunately, in this world, when people hear today's spirituality, they unfortunately think about Christianity, Muslims, and other type of religious organizations. And they immediately turned off. No, thank you, thank you, thank you. But spirituality is not at all what institutionalized religions have proclaimed. Has nothing to do with fanaticism, has nothing to do with sectarianism. Spirituality is the true spirit of responsibility, of gratefulness and compassion. If you want to put it into very simple words, it's gratefulness and compassion. That's where real spirituality is starting. Of course, it can expand from there. It can go deeper. There's no hard and fast rules. There's no restrictions imposed upon. The real mystical union of the soul of God, with the soul with God, is that spiritual progress, which some people call yoga, other people call it meditation, another person call it yajna, another person call it sacrifice, another person call it tapa. There's many names for it, but in essence, it's this one thing. It's the natural spirituality which is born in your heart, because all of you are spirits. So the natives, especially Mamulundana, was telling me, the human beings today want to solve their problems excluding spirituality, and it's only in the spiritual consciousness that problems can be understood and solved. And that is your own spirituality. So if you're a member of the United Nations of the Spirit, you have to add your spirituality to solve the problems. We need your spirituality, your spirituality, your spirituality. Spirituality is not something you can write a book about and say that's spirituality. No. Spirituality is that action, loving action of those who are truly yogis and truly advanced. That loving action to apply to any given circumstance, whether it be mining, whether it be a situation of dam making, or preferably no dam making, or whether it is deforestation, or better, foresting again this planet, this beautiful Mother Earth, etc., etc., etc. Whether it means old people care, whether it means your spiritual attitude to your forefathers or to your mother and father, everything can be permeated by spirituality. And spirituality is an understanding of what is supposed to be done and what is not supposed to be done. That comes along with spirituality. When you have the proper spirituality, you know, according to our philosophy, we believe in the master, the guru, inside of your heart. Each and everyone has a spiritual guide inside his heart. And if you sincerely ask the guide inside of you, he'll give you the right answer. He won't let you down. So we have from the very outgoing principle of ourself, we already have a spiritual master inside of our heart. Otherwise, you may have also further people who inspire you and people you want to associate with. But the real original spiritual master is already there inside of your heart. And if you meet a guru, it's because that guru inside of you told you, there's your guru, follow him. So, the original spiritual master, that supreme guide, Acharyamam Vijaniyam, that guide which is none else than the divine itself. He is guiding us and he is showing us that the true spirituality is our loving action to solve the problems in this world, in our surrounding. And that is what our Guru Deva Srila Prabhupada has told us to distribute. And Mamuluntana said, only with that spirituality can we tackle any kind of problem. Now, how is it done in practice? Well, there is a wonderful process in the meditation where everything you are questioning, anything which is not clear to you, which is in doubt, you can check it through a 4 security system. You should be very careful. You shouldn't just go sentimental about spirituality and then maybe everything goes wrong. No, you can. If in doubt, you should check upon any given thing by consulting your own spiritual guide. Number 2, by consulting with those who are exemplary in spirituality according to your understanding. You should check with holy books, scriptures who should give evidence of some kind regarding to the subject. And number 4, you should make a check and balance with your own heart. These are the 4 instances. Only when these 4 instances are totally coinciding, if they're synchronized, and they all say yes, 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 and yes, well then you better do it. Because if you have checked upon it and you say it's yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, but I won't do it, well then you're in trouble. Because in one way or another we have to make sure whether what we are doing is right or wrong. We have that power of discrimination. It's inert power of our life. And therefore, real spirituality, it surely goes under that check and balance system. If you follow real spirituality, you can be assured that you will have a good guidance or a good contribution to make to the world which surrounds us. And that is called in India Sanatana Dharma. That very process, that very procedure, that very ideal is called Sanatana Dharma. And Sanatan means eternal, and Dharma means the highest call upon us. There is a very nice shloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam which says that the highest parodharmo yator bhaktir adokshaye ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati savaipung sang parodharmo yator bhaktir adokshaye ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Please consider, of all the teachings and all the dharmas in the world, what is the highest? The highest is that which brings about loving attachment for the Supreme Lord and the wish to serve Him. And such service should be of uninterrupted and unmotivated character. In other words, what gives you the joy to serve and to offer your contribution, to offer your little humble ability for the benefit of all, that you should develop, that you should cultivate. Parodharma. This is the highest dharma. There's nothing higher than that which brings about your loving attachment to the cause of all causes, to the benefiter of all. So in other words, that which qualifies in the eye of everyone. So it's not like we are trying to promote some kind of spirituality which is just for a certain selective part of society, which is like for the intellectuals or for this. Krishna. No, it is for everybody. If it's not for everybody, heck, why bother? Why should you bother with something which is another selective benefit for a few at the cost of others? We don't believe in that. We will not promote that. We will not practice this. It will be rejected in the court of love. And universal love is that criteria of that court. And the judge is called you. You have to judge in the court of universal love of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And only if you have judged it, then you can make up your mind, I gotta be part of it. I gotta be part of this solution. I gotta be part of this procedure. So somehow or other this has joined us together. This has created our family. And we are very grateful for this. And we are here in Gothenburg, as I told you before, as simple servants of the Gothenburg city and country of Sweden. We have no business here. We haven't come here in any ambition for expanding anything. We have not come here to enjoy the scenery. I mean, nothing bad. Gothenburg is a pretty place, but at the climate in the winter, you would surely prefer to be somewhere else. But But we are here because our spiritual master told us Matash Pashastu Kaunteya Shitoshna Shuka Dukada Agama Panidyo Nityas Tangstitik Shvavarata. He said the duality of happiness and distress, heat and cold, they just come from sense perception, and you are supposed to tolerate them. You should not run away from here because it's cold, or you should not turn away from a life situation because there's any type of difficulty there. No, you should face your trial and test and examinations and go ahead and learn. The greatest thing in life is giving your love and giving your criteria. Om sarve bhavantu shukhina sarve bhavantu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kachit dukha bhag bhavet. This is the blessing which we have received from the rishis of the past. Number one, Om sarve bhavantu shukhina. Our job is to make everybody happy. Sarve shantu niramaya. Our job is to teach people to live healthy so that they will not get diseased and mad. Number three, Om sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Our job is to empower people to have the appropriate criteria on their own. It's not that people should be made to submit without understanding. Not so, not at all. If somebody doesn't have his own criteria, his own conviction towards any something, then he is not a long-lasting thing, and it will not be sufficient. He will be left out. So Bhadrani Pashyantu means, yes, come up to your highest inner realization. Agree with what is the most agreeable. And ultimately, Ma Kachit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. No, may nobody ever be put into misery by me. I shall not be responsible for any type of misery inflicted upon anybody. And therefore I take shelter in the truth. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. So when you say Om Shanti, it doesn't only mean peace on earth, no. It means truth on earth, to be able to qualify for peace. Only through the divine truth you may have a connection and a claim on peace. And that is started by me becoming agreeable that I should under no condition put anybody else in misery in this world. This is my commitment. Nobody should be put in misery, and all the contrary, I should relieve people from their miseries. That's number one. Om Sarve Bhavantu Shukhina. I should try everything possible in the world to make everybody happy. Now, after my little expose on what we are here for in Gothenburg, now I invite your questions and answers. And also, I invite you to think about it, how we can do this, how we can expand this divine consciousness and that divine seva here in Gothenburg. Because, well, time has passed, 12 years. I think it's about time that we get a little bit of an impact on this society. I think we have not been so expert as we could. I don't know what is the problem. Sometimes you have to, all kinds of strange things you have to do. Anyway, I don't want to get into details here, but the fact is that whatever you can do, you should do to impact upon others what is beneficial for them. Unfortunately, people are very, very mesmerized in the manipulation of television and internet. They're so mesmerized they can hardly pay any attention to what you say. But whatever, even though they're mesmerized, they're all in a very sad condition. What marks the main consideration of our society today is drugs and alcoholism. people have no happiness. The time as soon as they're out of a job, they take a little money, buy some stuff, and then they hang around, and they destroy the few neurons they have in their brain by uselessly trying to take some anesthesia. To me, drugs and alcohols is nothing but an attempt to live in an anesthesia condition, because they have not found any clarity and happiness in that life. No wonder when the universities and schools don't teach any conception of happiness and truthfulness. So people are now, instead of just killing myself, let me live in the anesthesia stage. And this anesthesia stage, that's what intoxication is all about. You're falling into some illusion, oh no, I'm flying high or something like that, while actually they are just simply ignoring they're ignoring the phenomena of their surrounding self-destruction and detrimental activities of human beings. Anyhow, that's enough for my side tonight. And I really wish to get some feedback from you, or some questions, or whatever. I simply beg all of you to please pay attention to what's going on in Imahuset and help somehow, according to your ability, to make this the real success it's meant to be. Either from here or from anywhere, who cares? Important is that the attempt is made and the impact is created. So please, go ahead. Who is going to break the ice and start the conversation? You are welcomed to challenge. You're welcome to investigate. You're welcome to do anything you want to do, just to make it more clear, so we can get a very, very transparent outlook on what we can do. Who is the first one to make a question? Please, you. Okay, Sudarshan, come on.
This meat-eating is always a big question, and have always been a big question.
Is it a question, or is it?
For those who is eating meat,
Yes.
they are questioning
Yes.
us, and I feel this advances forward, and more are interested in vegetarianism also.
True.
And also another big question is drugs.
One at a time.
Yeah.
So what is your question about vegetarianism?
How fast should one advance? Because I think the hardest part is our own family, father, mother, and brothers and sisters. In our families, for me, I feel I have time to advance as long as I am advancing, I think. Because
as long as you are not.
Yeah, advancing in my because I feel respect from my mother and father against me, because my father was making vegetarian food to me, and I felt love, that he is respecting me for I'm a vegetarian, and I feel this silent language, we are talking, that I have taken time, and he knows I'm a vegetarian, and he made vegetarian food to me. It's an advancement, and I like it. So, but I feel like if I'm pushing too hard, it may make a push for back, but I don't know how hard should I confront. Because
thank you. I get
yes.
it. I get it. Well, one of my instructing inspiration His name is Ocean Roberts. Ocean Robbins. He is the son of one of the great industry owners of the Baskin and Robbins ice cream business in the USA. Ocean Robbins, he argued with me. He said, if you are so harsh on the meat eaters by showing them all the ugly things they are doing, they just shut up on you and treat you like an extraterrestrial or some stupid guy. He said, but if you speak to them softly, Paul McCartney style, meatless Monday, then you don't make them so scared, and you are encouraging them to get closer into the concept of vegetarianism. And then I didn't like it. I didn't like the soft style. My nature was more the harsh style. But Ocean told me, now, what do you want as a vegetarian? Do you really want to decrease the misery of the animals? And he said, if you take the soft approach, you're going to reach that less animals will be killed, because people will start reasoning with you and they will feel comfortable and this. Rather the harsh part, people turn off on you and they don't become vegetarians. So I accepted the defeat. I said, yes, we should be kind of soft in this. But soft doesn't mean that we cannot give good information. I mean, everybody of you has heard about the movie, what was it called? Earthlings. I mean, tell me, lift the finger of you, who has seen Earthlings? Only 3 people. All of you have not seen Earthlings. Well, but you're all vegetarians, more or less, no? So, Earthlings, if you see Earthlings, after that you have to cry for a week. It's such a horrible thing. It's the life report of how humans are dealing with the animals. I know some people, they saw Earthlings and they became a vegetarian right after that. So it has had a big impact on people. But as I say, as we are talking about the mathematics, more people stop eating less meat when we preach softly. And who is going to be ending up to be benefited? Well, our brothers, the animals. So in this sense, I've also started a more softer approach. Also, when I came in contact with the ancient tribes, they appreciate vegetarianism. They understand that it is a very good thing, but many of them coming from hunting traditions. So they are not vegetarians by tradition. And because of that, if you are too harsh on them, then they feel like, oh, this is not for us. So also for that reason, I turned to the soft preaching. Does that answer your question?
But not too hot, not too soft. Because
it's also individual, you know. We do it as we feel it. If it's heartfelt, for example, I have escalated in my own seva. I have actually achieved the honorable position of the cook of the natives in their events. When they have come together discussing major things, they are bringing us in to cook for them. Of course, purely vegetarian, of course, prashadam. So this has already been accomplished, and to tell you the truth, that has been an amazing success. By that, today you could say that in the native tribes of the Abya of America, everybody knows vegetarianism. Everybody has tasted vegetarian food, and everybody likes it. So you see, sometimes it's a very good impact. And the second question on drugs?
Yeah, it's a big question, but not sure about this. I have not. It was just a reflection about the big questions that always has been, and so because drugs makes us in a state of illusions, because in a state of when someone has taken a drug, they think they have reached some kind of state of truth, but I think they are in illusion, and because after observing those who are observing those who have taken drugs, they see the state they are in, and it is not truth, because they just talk some garbage. So it's a state of ego.
I think everybody agrees with you when it comes to put your hand into your life into somebody's hand. Like if you're going into the airplane and the pilot just says, you're standing with a bottle of whiskey, welcome to my flight today. Drinking a great whiskey today.
But
say, sorry, I think I'm gonna step out from this flight. I'm not gonna fly with this drunken guy. Neither if he's on ayahuasca or if he is on an LSD trip. Sorry, we don't want to fly with you, and we don't want to do many things with you if you're in intoxicated state. And one of the strongest and the harshest experiences when you're married to somebody who is driving or supposed to lead a family while he's intoxicated. It's a disaster. The women and the children in the family where the father is intoxication is very, very nasty. There's no joy. Everything is just a harsh experience of deception after deception after deception after deception. My God, what is that, you know? Who wants to be deceived by his parent? So I think it's a very clear pattern to be seen that drugs, it doesn't serve to become more trustworthy and also not to become more realized of any spirituality. Of course, that is a strong statement, especially in the age of ayahuasca. When people say, oh, you take ayahuasca, did you see all the lights, and did you speak to the trees, and did you do this and that? But the fact is that whatever ayahuasca can do to you, it cannot show you God, because God is not seen by any type of material substance, and it's not there. It's not. That's not neither the process nor the effect. Yes, my friend.
On the same topic, I think like most of us.
Can you speak a little louder?
I'll try. I think most of us here is, or I hope everyone here is aware of this, that we cannot like reach like God and like true knowledge by taking drugs. But how do we get those people to understand that? Because a lot of them say, well, why should I spend like 10 years like meditating, praying, that when I can reach the same because many of them believe they reach the same like level or whatever you call it by just taking a drug once. So how should we go about like making them understand? Can we?
Thank you for the question. You know, the comparison doesn't carry impact. It is impossible. You take a drug, you may know what that drug does to you, but you meditate and do service for 10 years, you first have to do that to know what that will take you to. So you cannot compare the two. How can a person taking a drug claim this will give you whatever? By the way, is spiritual life going to give you a drug sensation, a drug experience? Or is there a drug which can give you some spiritual experience? That is such an ambiguous subject that you can practically not sustain the conversation. There's nothing there which is really giving you concrete information to continue. Nevertheless, we are not against drugs, because drugs is a reality of this world. And so there's nothing bad which doesn't come for a good reason. So maybe people had to take some drug to come to a higher comprehension. When I was smoking marijuana in my youth, we were talking about expanding our mind. Tim is Hillary. Expanding our mind to understanding higher realities. We were smoking in that mood. We were not smoking. We all rejected the bourgeois society of parents getting drunk for joy. So we didn't want to do the same thing. Now our parents, they're drinking beer and wine and all that, and to have like their life joy. And no, now we get it from drugs. No, we were actually in that mood. And unfortunately, it was a big illusion. And therefore, many of our friends of those days, where did they end up? Some went to jail for drug dealing. Some of them went to suicide. Some of them went to mental hospital because they couldn't hack it anymore. So the drug outcome wasn't at all positive. It's an extended misery. So from that point of view, we can only say, God, it's not what it's promised to be, that you get some expanded consciousness. But still, that was necessary. And whoever has taken drugs at a certain point, he can also probably say, well, and I understood something. Well, at least you can understand one thing, that don't be so stupid to take drugs. That's a realization. And some people can come to that conclusion just by listening about it to somebody, but some people, they had to take it first to come to that conclusion. And if some people, of course, drugs is very dangerous because it makes addictive. You see, this world of addiction is very, very intensive. You can become addicted to a video game. Just like I was sitting in the airplane, one lady was sitting to us and she was having a little computer and doing something with fruit. What was that called?
Candy Crush.
Huh?
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. And so she was doing Candy Crush, and I asked her, what is that? Oh, she said, this is Candy Crush. This is very addictive. I said, really? Why? What do you get from it? And he said, don't load it down on your computer, you know. This is a very stupid thing, you know. And she was doing it, so you can imagine, you know. There's so many addictions. Sugar is an addiction, you know. It's so hard the craving for sugar is there, the neurotransmitters. So when you get addicted to something, it's always a big suffering to get rid of it. And sometimes it's a very destructive addiction. Not thinking is a drug. You just like, And handies, they're really good for making you non-thinking people. It's Mr. Spitter, he's a German neuroscientist. He has given evaluation of the usage of handies and handphones and all this stuff. And he says this is the greatest disaster. You are producing premature senility for sure. And he said today in good schools of rich people, you are prohibited. Children cannot have tablets, cannot have these things because it's already understood how detrimental they are. So we're in the hands of some kind of industry who is simply manipulating humanity. But that's not new. There was always some stupid thing manipulating people in this world. So coming to the spiritual realization that we are not this body and we should have universal love and serve everybody, that's available through the chanting of mantras. But I have no information about any other process to make it work. Mantras means opening the mind, opening the heart, letting something new come in and assimilating it and then applying it. So what's the next question? Yes, my friend.
How do you advance in spiritual life if you are permanently and uncurably too sick to do devotional service?
Too sick?
Yes.
Too sick?
Yes.
Physically sick?
Yes.
Oh, the mercy of God is beyond our comprehension. And you don't worry. God will never expect anything from anyone which they can't do. So if somebody is physically impaired very much from doing certain things, then the Lord will understand that and He will accept whatever little service He can do, maybe saying Hare Krishna, and that will be enough for him to get the greatest benefit. So there isn't such like a competition or anything, like you have to accomplish a certain amount of things. No, love, God's love is beyond any kind of estimation. In my 45 years of being a conductor of spiritual communities, I haven't met the first person who was too sick to serve. Everybody can do something.
Even the deaf people, those who cannot hear,
Yeah, of course they can. They can look. They can. There's Braille. There's no, that's for the blind, but there's always some way to connect. Everybody has a chance to connect, and they do everything with sign languages. We had one lady in Panama. She was a very expert in sign languages, and she actually learned the mudras from the Paramadvaiti dances, no? So she learned that she talked to the people who are deaf by making dances with their mudras. And it was so beautiful, and they were very enthusiastic about it. Of course, some impediments are making life more difficult. That is undoubtedly so, no? Some karmas, but there's always a chance to do something. Yes, my dear.
In Bhajagovindam, there is a sloka that Punarapi Janamam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathari Sailam, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamati. This meaning as don't try for rebirth again, don't try for death again, don't try for coming to mother's home again, the same sorrow, same happiness and same things. So we have to try to merge with God. So whether my question is whether we can merge with God in this life, and whether this human life is the last life or we can rebirth again.
You quoted a very important shloka of Srila Shankaracharya, but your translation was horrible. Absolute inaccurate. Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda Mudapate means worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda, you fool, and forget your word jugglery of trying to merge with Govinda. Merging with Govinda is a very strange thing. Like, we are friends from today. If I say, let me merge with you, then what do you mean? You mean, how that would work? Then we could not talk anymore, we could not do anything together. Merging, so what? This word merging is really a fabrication. But first of all, we would have to see it work, that two people can merge into each other. Now, the fact is that Vivartavada or Advaitavada, they say we merge by giving up our individuality, by giving up our whatever who we are, like the ego. Our ego merges into one cosmic ego. But to tell you the truth, that's not what Srila Shankaracharya was talking about. He was talking about worship Govinda. And if you look into India history, especially Tirupati, that in Tirupati, they call Venkateshwara Govinda. So it's very easy possible that he was making reference to that Govinda, the Lord Govinda, and worship him. You know what that means. Doing puja, doing parikrama, doing yajna, all these things. So therefore, yes, of course we should try not to be born again. Of course we should try for self-realization and all that. And that is totally supported by this stanza of Srila Shankaracharya.
Chanting the name of God, we can reach.
Yes, chanting is the prayer or the connection maker. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Unitya Mukto Binatvan Namino. Lord has given all his energy into all the different names he has. And when we're chanting them, we are getting that connection and that help. The divine Shakti of the Lord will come into us and favor us by giving us some insight. There's no difference between the Lord and his name. Next, please. Maybe a little late. You want to take some prasad? No more questions. Last? Yes.
Maybe it's not so much a question, it's more of a reflection, I suppose. But talking about love and also referring to the question before about people with, drug abuse and such things.
People with?
The reflection I made actually is, I think the most unconditional love I have received ever is actually from people who doesn't really have a faith, that they proclaim like I'm this faith or I'm this and that. People with no faith and people who have gone through actually drug abuse and also very much poverty. They have given me actually the most love, unconditional love. How come? I mean, to me it's a contradiction, These people, these very religious people, they should be the ones who who give the most unconditional love and not the opposite. So, reflection.
You are right. There are people who are very sattvic by nature, and therefore they do fantastic things for others. And very often they are poor and stricken by miseries themselves. That part of your declaration is accurate. The other one is totally off the wall. Because if you say spiritual people have given less to you than that, then you don't have a recognition of everything what Prabhupada did for you and for humanity. You don't have a recognition to what the so selflessly dedicated souls are doing for humanity, which is absolutely extreme, and there's no comparison. And you and all of us are beneficiaries of that, and I don't think you should even compare it.
No, I'm correcting
So,
myself. I'm
so
not talking about those type of spiritual people. I'm talking more.
no, but they are the.
globally
But you said spiritual people,
Yeah,
so
but I didn't mean to say it like that. I mean people who are, they're talking a lot, yeah, but they're not.
then you are leading me onto the ambiguous path of uncertainty, and of course I cannot compare it, say anything about it, because talkative people, like they always talk too much usually, and they are not spiritual people necessarily. So we are looking at the real spiritual people who are giving their life to others for the true sake of it. But I do agree with you on that side that amazing things are done by people you expect the least from. That I think everybody will confirm that. This is very true. There's one movie which you may have heard, or a book, is called The City of Joy. It's Dominique Lapierre. He was living in a slum, a Christian priest who was preaching in a slum in Calcutta. And you think a slum in Calcutta should be the worst place in the world. And it turned out that he found the most wonderful people doing the most wonderful thing in the slum of Calcutta. So, same thing he was pointing. It's a famous book. That's why the scriptures say you can glorify anybody, but you shouldn't criticize anybody. Then you never go wrong. Next question. Last round. Thank you so much for sharing this night with us. And any further personal questions we can have after. But now please go and take some prasad. Jai. And thank you to all the wonderful people of Nimai Huset for keeping this place alive. This is very important. For me, it's a very just to give you a little insight, when I came here many years ago, the previous owner of that shop up there, he was having a little bit of storage in here, but he hadn't rented this place. So at that time when we got here, I told Maharaj, we need that place for our lectures. And he said, but we don't have it, it's not in our contract, and like this. And then I said, whatever it is, we have to try to get it. Capture it. And finally, the devotees did the job, and this is over 10 years ago of devotional service. This is like such a wonderful place. Like, we are very grateful for it. And it's a little bit the basements, you know. The secrets are announced in the basements. Yes, it is said in the future in Kali Yuga, the devotees will teach in the dungeons of the cities. Dungeons, you call that? In the dungeons of the city, they will have their secret meetings, and now so we have a little dungeon in Gothenburg. So welcome to Prasad.
Srila Gurudeva ki jai.